companies who sell life insurance policies and long-term care policies are very much concerned about the upper hand you have as a consumer who has done genetic testing through services like 23andMe. And the reason why they're concerned about it is because you are armed with knowledge about your own health that could give you an advantage over these insurance companies. So, according to a recent report, insurance companies, particularly those that offer these long-term care programs, take a risk offering these policies. Insurers know that the percentage of the general population will become ill or die at a particular time in life, but they don't know who exactly. So when they offer these policies, of course, they do it for profit, and they take a calculated risk when they grant someone the sale of that policy. You know, they can deny the policy for certain individuals who are unhealthy or deemed a risk. But now that we have these tests, and now that they're not connected to our insurance in any way, and they don't have to be reported to the medical industry in any way, these insurance companies are worried that, you know, if you know that you have some sort of genetic predisposition to an illness, you'll sign up for these services and they'll lose money. That's what they're concerned about.
Of course. So one of the insurers said, now we would never use this information to discriminate. Then what would you use it for? You're gonna find out, oh, the guy is gonna die in 5 years, but or not die in 5 years, but is gonna have an extended end of life, which is what this insurance is for. But I won't use that against him. I'll charge him the same rate.
Right.
Then why do you want to find out?
Right.
Go.
Right. So during an industry meeting, one of the CEO or one of the executives for one of these companies said these tests offer an opportunity to game the system and apply for long-term care insurance without the insurer knowing the true nature of the risk. And by the way, keep in mind that when it comes to these companies, you know, there are luckily, for now, regulations that prevent them from obtaining this type of genetic information. So state and federal laws like the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act specifically forbid health insurers from discriminating against anyone because of a genetic predisposition to a particular disease. But come on, like.
So I'll tell you the loophole they're using to get around that. So if you went to your doctor and got some testing, well, when they ask you for your doctor's records, when they're giving you the insurance, oh, it's in there. So, golly gee, how did I wind up getting that information? And that's how they use it against you. By the way, it is not a plug for 23andMe, but those guys, they're not your doctors, so it's harder to get access to that information.
Right, exactly.
And that's why these insurance companies are really mad at things like 23andMe. They're like, give me that info. They say it's an unfair advantage to the consumer that they get to have information that the insurance company doesn't have. Oh, I know. The consumer is so unfair to these giant corporations.
It's ridiculous. By the way, look, for now, I know that these companies have a very difficult time trying to obtain this type of information. And 23andMe, as far as I know, and other similar companies that offer these services are not sharing this information with these insurance companies. However, I don't know, I do worry about what the future holds because this is, you know, our genetic makeup, it's data that people have on us, it's still a private company. I don't know what the future holds and I don't know whether or not the wrong people will have access to that genetic material in the future. So that's just my little note of caution. But with that said, I actually have an interesting question to ask you, Cenk. Are you interested in knowing what's likely to kill you?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you the same question and we didn't talk about that earlier. Okay, yes, definitely. And so I know some people are like, oh, I don't wanna know. No, first of all, I know something that a lot of you don't know, which is that we're all gonna die. Now, you think, oh, I know that. No, you theoretically know that, but you don't really live it that way. So since our only perspective is one of being alive, it is hard to fathom what it means to be dead and not exist. So everybody goes around as if they're not going to die, as if every day isn't precious. But if you found out that you had an illness that is likely to kill you in your, make it up, like 50s, all of a sudden you'd panic a little bit, wouldn't you? But dude, I got news for you. You're gonna die. I don't know if you're gonna die in your 50s or your 80s or when you're gonna die, but you are, and every day is precious. And so if you told me 50s, I would change my game plan.
Oh yeah? What would you do?
First of all, sorry guys, but I gotta go. So no, and maybe I wouldn't. Maybe I'd be like, I'd push just as hard as I am today to get the amendment to get money out of politics. But the minute I got money out of politics, you'd never see me again. I'm gone. I'm in the woods. Okay, they're never gonna get me. No, look, I try to get the most out of life, and I don't know. Maybe it's cliched to travel, and I'm not that big a traveler, but like I would try to soak it in instead of grinding away. And we do. I mean, I love this job, but we do grind, right?
Yes.
And so I'd want to know, because if I'm lasting to my 80s, I'm gonna have a different game plan for my life than if I'm going to my 50s. And you think I'd spend a little bit more money?
Yeah.
I mean, sorry kids, but like if you leave all this money behind and you didn't spend it because you're worried about, oh my God, do I have enough for end of life care? Then you screwed up. Go spend it, right?
Definitely.
If you have it. So what do you think?
Yeah, I actually am now planning on doing it, doing this testing to figure out what I'm predisposed to, and for different reasons. First of all, it doesn't tell you when you're gonna die, but it does tell you what disease you're likely to suffer from later in life. I think that there are certain instances where you can take actions to beat that disease. So for instance, if you are predisposed to certain types of cancer, if you have a certain type of cancer gene, you can do what Angelina Jolie did, for instance. She decided to remove her ovaries and double mastectomy and all of that. So I would want to take those proper precautions. But if there was a way for me to find out when I'm gonna die, and let's say right now I'm 31 and I only have another 4 years to live, yeah, I would change my game plan. I'd certainly be more mouthier.
You'd be more mouthy?
I would be, sorry, that grammar was not right. I would be mouthier, yes, absolutely. I hold back a lot, you guys don't even know.
Oh, I didn't know that, wow.
I mean, I hold back. There are certain individuals that I feel like I have to be civil toward when I don't want to be civil toward them. But you got to be a decent human being. If I had 4 years to live, I don't think I'd care about being a decent human being.
Oh my God, I can't wait to see Anna Unleashed. But I don't want to see that. I hope you do unleash it when you're 84.
Okay.
If you want to get the whole Young Turks show every single day, become a member, tytnetwork.com/join. And once you do, you'll be saying,
I'm like a smart person.
Or you might say,
I think it's weird.
Or you might say,
oops.
No, that won't be that one. It won't be that one. It'll be great, trust me. tytnetwork.com/join.